Welcome back everyone. In today's video, let us understand the bet from the English syllabus. Now the bet is written by Anton Chekhov, who was born in the year 1860 and his death took place in the year 1904. He was a brilliant Russian short story writer and a playwright who wrote about human loneliness and frustration and about the stagnation of life in Russia that he knew. He shows a sense of sympathy towards his characters and tries his best to present life in the raw, where people constantly face inner trauma. His work has been widely translated and has had an immense influence on world literature. Moving on to the story, The Bet. The starting of the story begins with a dark autumn night where an old banker was walking up and down in his study. In his study means a room where usually people do their work or study some books. He was thinking about a situation which had happened 15 years ago, where he had given a party and there had been many clever men there who were having interesting conversations. Among all other things they had talked of is capital punishment, where the majority of the guests disapproved of the death penalty. Now, these guests involve various men who were into journalism and many intellectual men were present here. All of them had actually disapproved with the death penalty. And in the others' opinion, the death penalty could be replaced everywhere by imprisonment for life. But the banker disagreed with that opinion. The banker supports his statement by continuing to explain that he hadn't tried both yet. But if one has to judge, then the death penalty is more moral and more human than imprisonment for life, as he felt that the capital punishment kills a man at once, whereas lifelong imprisonment kills him slowly. Now, this was the discussion going on. Here, some other people felt that both are equally immoral as they both have the same objective to take away life. Now, among all of these guests, there was a young lawyer. When his opinion was asked about the same, he also felt that both are equally immoral. But if he got to choose one, he would choose imprisonment for life, as he felt to live anyhow is better than not to live at all. Now, this discussion has started to become like an argument between the banker and lawyer. In the banker's opinion, the lawyer couldn't even stay for imprisonment or in a solitary situation or confinement for more than 2 years or 5 years. But whereas the lawyer had confirmed that he can stay for at least 15 years in the solitary confinement. Now, here the bet started. Now, with this discussion, the banker had offered or started a bet of 2 million with the lawyer, and the lawyer also accepted it. Where the banker just told for 5 years, but the lawyer had agreed it for 15 years. Yet the banker was very confident that the lawyer couldn't even stay for 2 years. And he mocks him, saying that your 2 years of your young age will be ruined because you will give up after it and you will not even gain the money. But somehow the bet begins, and the rules of the bet were that the, ba- the lawyer had to stay in the lodge, which is placed in the banker's garden. Lodge was closed for 15 years, and the banker is not supposed to even try to get out of the lodge for 15 years. Even if before 2 minutes of the bet, if he tries to come out, then the lawyer loses the bet. A small window is there in the lodge for giving food and giving whatever the lawyer wants. It was decided that the young man should spend the years of his captive under the strict supervision in one of the lodges in the banker's garden. It was agreed that for 15 years he should not be free to cross the threshold of the lodge, to see human beings, to hear humans' voice, or to receive letters and newspapers. He was allowed to have a musical instrument and books, and was allowed to write letters, to drink wine, and to smoke. The only relation he could have with outer world were there by a little window made purposely for that object. So he can have anything that he wants, but he cannot cross that lodge, or he cannot communicate with others. And it would end at 12 o'clock of November 1885. For the first year of his confinement, as far as one could judge from his belief, see, from his brief notes, the prisoner suffered severely from loneliness and depression. The sounds of the piano could be heard continuously day and night from his lodge. He refused wine and tobacco. He felt that wine is making him feel more desire for something. So he ignored wine, and he also said no to tobacco as that smell was within his room. So he was being suffocated because of that smell. And also in the first year, the books he sent were principally of light character, novels with complicated love plots, sensations, and fantastic stories, and so on. So, all the interesting stories he read in the first year. Moving on, in the second year, the piano was silent in the lodge, and the prisoner asked only for classics. Continuing to the fifth year, the music was audible again, and the prisoner asked for wine too. Those who watched him through the window said that all the year he spent doing nothing but eating and drinking and lying on the bed, frequently yawning and angrily talking to himself. He did not read books. Sometimes at the night he would sit and write down, and he used to spend hours and hours writing. And in the morning he used to tear all of that which he had written. More than once he could be heard crying. In the second half of the sixth year, the prisoner began studying languages and psychology and history. He threw himself eagerly into these studies so much that the banker had enough to do to get him the books he ordered. In the course of 4 years, some 600 volumes were procured at his request. It was during this period that the banker received a small letter from the lawyer or the prisoner. And it was written in that letter that there were 6 different paragraphs in 6 different languages. And he asked or requested the banker to show those six different languages to the people who actually know the language, so that he gets a clarity if he had learned the language or he did not. And for his confirmation, he asked the banker to shoot twice in the air, 2 shots fired in the garden, so that the lawyer knows that he is right. And if he doesn't shoot, then it means he is wrong. But it happens that the banker shoots as he had already learned 6 languages and they were right. Moving on to the 10th year of his confinement, the prisoner sat immovably at the table and read nothing but gospel. It seems strange to the banker that a man who in 4 years had mastered 600 volumes should waste nearly a year thin book easy of comprehension. Theology and histories of religion followed the gospel. In the last 2 years of his confinement, the prisoner read an immense quantity of books quite indiscriminately. At one At one time, he was busy with natural science, then he would ask for Shakespeare. There were even notes which he demanded the same time, books of chemistry and a manual of medicine and different novels. So in the last 2 years, he was reading all kind of books and all kind of things which are present. Now again, the banker get back to the present time and thinks that the next day or within few hours that the lawyer is going to get back his freedom and he will get 2 million money. So he will have great life, he will get married and he will then invest in stocks and he'll have a good life. But whereas in these 15 years, the banker had lost all his money in stock exchange. Now it became a situation where he was even afraid to ask himself which were greater, his debts or his assets. So that was his situation. So he was thinking that because of this bet, he will again lose 2 million and he had to pay this 2 million to the lawyer or the prisoner. So here the banker becomes selfish and he tends to have a mindset that the only way in which he can save himself from this 2 million loss is to kill the prisoner. Now it was 3 o'clock in the midnight, everyone was asleep at home, and nothing could be heard outside. And it was raining, so he slowly took up the key from his fire safe and he started to walk towards the lodge. He first goes out to his garden and tries to call the watchman, but it was raining so heavily there was no one there. So he had this mindset that even if he goes and tries to kill the prisoner, the blame would fall on the watchman and not on him. So he continues and he just peeps from the window. He gets to find that the prisoner had become very old, his hair had been grown. Like for 15 years he had been out. So his hair had been grown, his nails had been grown. So he was looking like an old man. At the table, a man unlikely ordinary people was sitting motionless. He was a skeleton with the skin drawn tight over his bones, with long curls like a woman's and shady beard. His face was yellow with the earthen tint in it. His cheeks were hollow, his back long and narrow, and the hand on which he stared head was so thin, delicate that it was dearful to look at it. His hair was already silver. Seeing him in such a situation, the banker felt poor creature. After all of this, the banker thought that the prisoner is sleeping and he continues to open the lock and he enters the room. When finally he feels to kill the banker, before he takes an attempt, he finds a letter on the table. On that letter, it will be written that the prisoner himself is going to run away before 5 hours of the bet. Now he says that reading all the books that the banker had provided, he had gained wisdom and he had known what actually he has to get in life. So he feels that this money or something will not give him actual freedom. The freedom lies in the knowledge that he had, and he had gained a lot of knowledge. So, after reading all of this, the banker becomes very emotional and he just returns back to his room. When the banker had read this, he laid the page on the table, he kissed the strange man on the head, and went out to the lodge, weeping. At no other time, even when he had lost heavily on the stock exchange, he had felt so grateful or compete for himself. When he got home, he lay on his bed, but his tears and emotions kept him for hours from sleeping. So, the thought process and the maturity of the lawyer shocked the banker, and he couldn't even sleep that night. The next morning, the watchman ran with a pale face and told him that he had seen who lived in the lodge, climbed out of the window into the garden, go to the gate, and disappear. The banker went at once with the servants to the lodge and made sure of his flight of his prisoner. To avoid unnecessary talk, he took from the table the writing in which the millions were re announced, and when he got home, he locked it up in a fireproof safe. So, this was the story about the bet. Here, because of reading so many books and because of staying very lonely, the lawyer became one kind of a person who was not greedy anymore. Coming to the conclusion, the bet shows the true wisdom and inner peace are more valuable than money or luxury. It teaches us that material wealth cannot bring real happiness, and spiritual growth is the highest form of freedom. So the banker had learned that wisdom and inner peace are more valuable than money. So he had let go of the 2 million to have his freedom, to have his actual wisdom and inner peace. So this was all about the bet. Thank you.